Hello, welcome. If you've seen this channel before, you know that I love my super simple vintage cameras, such as this 1930s Leica and this 1950s Leica that I've got here. It's a real pity a company wouldn't make a simple camera in 2024. Well, actually they do. In today's video, we're going to be talking about an affordable solution to 4x5 photography. We'll take a closer look at the Intrepid 4x5 camera, and stay with me and I'll explain why 4x5 photography can be cheaper than 35mm.
Hi guys, Matt here from MrLeica.com.
Today we're going to be taking a closer look at the Intrepid 4x5 camera, a super simple camera that you can buy brand new today, and it's the cheapest 4x5 kind of mass production camera available that I'm aware of. To give you a quick backstory, I've been using the earlier version of the Intrepid since 2018, and then more recently I bought the current version, so now I have two, or I did have two. I'll explain as we get into the video.
Okay, so why would I recommend a 4x5 camera? For starters, 4x5 cameras kind of get you out and about. It's more of a deliberate type of photography where you've got to think more about your setup. You've got more gear to carry. It's just a lot less instant in that respect. The good news is you can use lots of different film, including instant film. So you can buy a Fuji Instax back from Lomography that allows you to shoot instant color film. As you can see in these examples, it's a huge amount of fun. If you've not seen that video, I can link it at the end. Loading some Fuji Instax wide film into your 4x5 camera makes it a lot of fun, especially if you're just starting out, because you can instantly see whether you're making mistakes or getting your exposure right, focus right, things like that. It's much quicker than having to develop your sheet film and then find out you made a mistake. For those of you that can remember Fuji peel apart film, FP film, you sometimes can find it on eBay. It's expensive, but it's a huge amount of fun if you can find any. This box was kindly donated to me by Analog Cameras, but the results are so much fun, and I much prefer this to instant film. There's a lot more gradation in the black and white, obviously in this black and white film, compared to what you get with the instant Instax film, but my cropping was a bit off with this shot. In addition to using instant film with your 4x5 camera, you can also use 120 roll film backs. So roll film backs come in 6x7, 6x9, 6x12. Those are the ones that I've got, made by Horseman and Cambo or Calumet. Then you can also get 6x17, but I haven't got one of those. The beauty of these is you can then shoot 120 film, which is much easier to develop in labs and also develop at home if you haven't got all the kit to develop 4x5 film. Depending on the format that you shoot, you get different number of shots per roll. Obviously, the longer the photo, the less number of images you get. And you just have to remove your ground glass to attach the 120 film back. Personally, I really enjoy using those 120 film back on a 4x5 camera because you get the movements and the interesting lenses from the 4x5 camera, but you get the ease and cost of 120 film. 120 film also gives you the options to more film stocks compared to film stocks available in 4x5 only. But if you want to get the maximum performance from your 4x5 camera, maximum resolution as it were, you will need to shoot with 4x5 sheet film. 4x5 sheet film can be affordable, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the cost of 4x5 film. And here you can see a sheet of 4x5 Fomapan. Okay, so talking about the cost, I think one myth when it comes to 4x5 photography is sheet film is expensive. Yes, it's expensive, but when you work out how much it costs you per day, it's actually cheaper than shooting your standard, say, Portra 400 film. So let's say you do a photo shoot. During the day, you shoot one roll of 35mm film. If it's Kodak Portra 400, that'll cost you £19. Now, the same time period, you're only going to shoot a maximum of around 10 sheets of 4x5 film. So the cost is only £8 because you use less photos because it takes longer for each shot. Okay, next, let's look at the difference between the old Intrepid and the new Intrepid. Focusing on the old one is here. You've got two nozzles like this, and it's got a wooden base, where in this one, focusing, you turn this to extend it, which means you can send the dark cloth easier when this is on a metal base. In terms of the backs, same on both. In terms of the fronts, these have changed, they're a bit more easy to use. These kind of used to trash your skin a bit, like trying to crank it down. And more or less the same way you can do it from the front. Kind of, you can twizzle that way, up and down as well. So that's the same on both. You've got the same design where you've got the holes in. So if I flat pack it,
you can change. Okay.
so you need the inside one for a wide lens, medium lens, long lens.
Okay.
So because this is on 300, got it on the longest lens at 300 because this is 300mm lens. If it was a 240, probably there, that hole, 210, or 210, 150, 90.
Okay.
So it's the same on here. And
But here there are 4 screws.
yes, so now it's 4.
And now,
It was 3.
It was 3 only.
On the front, you've now got these markers,
Okay.
so you know if you zeroed it to be dead center. But on the old one, there's no marks, so you didn't know if it was slightly to the left or slightly to the right.
Okay.
Because you can also go, I'll show you on this one, you can slide it a bit, do shift that way. And the other big difference is you've got twin spirit levels there and twin spirit levels on the back. Turn that back up. So you've got twin spirits there as well, where this one's got none.
Yeah.
So that's another big advantage. Both of them fold flat by basically folding in on itself and then loosen that. It'll go flat. So that will go exactly the same as this when it's folded down. Just that in and that down. Grand grass on the back, I think it's roughly the same. I've put these on to use a 120 back. This is better, so this is, Grom, could you take that off for me? So now it's on these metal springs, where the old one is on literally on strings. So you just move the strings like that. Both this got the same style sliders as these to hold the different backs. I think that's it. This one's definitely more solid. Well, will be if you tighten it down. You can also now get this, you can get different coloured bellows, so you can get it in black, which is standard, but you can then get red bellows for the black body, or yellow bellows, or green, or blue. So I might get red at some point. I think the red looks nicer. Yeah.
And for the lens.
So it's the same design. You lift this to take the lens off.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to try and do it, lift that, slide it up and
This way.
yeah, kind of give it a wiggle at the same time. And then the lens is going to forward. That's it. And then they take Linhof boards and Intrepid boards. So if I'm using a Linhof board, I can then fit it onto the Linhof the one that we had in Italy. That's it.
It's pretty tight.
Yeah, it's good. You don't want to do that. You just want to make sure that the back's straight against this.
Oh yeah.
Because you can move it slightly further back. So this you can do on this, you can't do that on the old one. So it gives you more to play with. We've not done that yet. It means you can accentuate like a plant in the foreground and make it bigger.
By shooting from the...
So you want it dead straight before you lock it down. Yeah. And that's called like zeroing the... yeah, it was. Alright. Good.
Okay, no,
Thanks, Intrepid. Thanks. We'll put it back on, I think.
Okay, so what is the true cost of 4x5 photography? Obviously you need the camera, but then you need all the other bits before you can actually take a picture. So you need the camera, a lens board, a lens, the film holder, a tripod, some actual film, and then also a light meter and a focus loop. The total of all those can be anything from a minimum of around £500 to £550 upwards. This doesn't include things like a cable release, which is optional. I use them on some lenses, but not all lenses. And then also things like a dark cloth. You can use your coat, but if you want some maybe slightly more professional setup, the dark cloth is good. When I travel, I use my coat, and when I've got space to carry a dark cloth, I carry a dark cloth. Both do a pretty similar job. Things like light meters, the price can vary a huge amount, from Zirconic spot meters down to a super cheap used light meter on eBay. And then lenses as well, they can be anything from £100 to a lot more than £100. Why are the holes in the front of my Intrepid camera? And it's for one special reason. This lens has protruding screws, so the only way I could get it to fit was to get my dad to help me use one of his tools and cut these out. So Carl Zeiss Jenner Tessar 210 3.5. So in conclusion, is the Intrepid 4x5 camera the best camera ever made? I'd say no, but you've got to expect that you're only going to get a certain amount of features at the particular price point that they're aiming for. I think the Intrepid 4x5 is probably one of the best starter cameras if you're looking to get into 4x5 photography. And then if you want something more advanced in the future, you could get something like a Linhof or any other kind of fancy camera that may tick your fancy. The Intrepid 4x5 camera ticks the boxes for me in terms of being both lightweight and compact. And the reason I don't have any here to show you is one of my cameras, my older camera, I've lent to one of my higher tier patrons to try out. And my second 4x5 Intrepid, my latest one that I just bought, is now actually in my bathroom because you can also use an Intrepid camera as a 4x5 enlarger. For those who are interested in darkroom printing, you may know that most enlargers will only go up to a size of say 6x6 or 6x7. So if you're shooting say 120 film backs on your Intrepid camera, you can't physically print your negatives. Thankfully, because Intrepid then released their 4x5 enlarger kit, I can now use the 4x5 camera to enlarge my 4x5 negatives. It's also great for doing 4x5 contract prints, and that's a really cool way to make prints from your 4x5 camera. As always, a huge thanks to my awesome patrons. I hope you enjoyed the video, and for more 4x5 content, check out these videos next.